A new second note on the tortilla curtain, and some flowers in the background. We have our own tortilla curtain right behind, some 5 meters over there, and that's why there is a connection that I feel with this book. Um, then, on the other hand, we can see these curtains everywhere. Anywhere where there is a difference, there is a majority and a minority. There are people who are discriminated against or pushed around or pushed outside. We can think of this curtain. And with so many immigrants now in Europe, with a war in Syria and other conflicts, and the big gap between the wealthy Western Europe and Africa, uh, the phenomena described, the events that happen in this very good book will be taking place in Europe and in other places in the world. Besides, the Mexican Beautiful War has been so much part of the American elections and the aftermath, when calculations have been made, and the curtain, virtual literary curtain, came out of this book to be to become a wall. So far in a project, but I'm sure he will eventually do something, even if it's just a thin, less extended wall, because he's out there to prove something. Returning to the book, I both condemn Delaney, one of the two heroes. Desiderio is the other one. That's the American Delaney, was richer, and he has a home, he has a family, a wife, Kyra. So does Desiderio. He's married to America, um, and Desiderio is the father of a yet unborn child. America is carrying a child, but there are similarities and so many discrepancies, such an imbalance. Desiderio came to America to work. He had been pushed outside quite a few times, and and he is the victim of an accident early on. Delaney hits him, and we have this scene from various angles. Poor Desiderio, of course, is incapacitated for a while, cannot work, so America, he's young, she's only a teenager, 17 I think, old, and yet pregnant, and she has to find work. There's an American with a fancy car with leather interior and all that, who gets her a job, but then he pays her less. He said $25 for a number of hours, but he makes her work twice as much, and even then, on top of not being fair with payment, he starts harassing her, trying to put his hands on her, and he would like more, but she refuses and gets out of the car. So the accident is yet another ordeal. They have to live out there in the wild, so to say, and their life is miserable. They don't know if and when they get work, and how they will eat and feed the child. They have nothing on top of their heads. While Delaney experiences some guilt, but then he accuses the man. So it's both a sympathy and Delaney, a character I identify with because I also live in a gated community, walls and two guards at the two entrances. We have our own Latino Mexicans, so to say, outside the gates. They're much less off. I mentioned that in the previous note posted yesterday. And still, it's sad to see him condemning his victim from one point. Delaney thinks, well, I know I've read about this in India, how they just mutilate themselves to beg and ask for your mercy. And I guess this guy did the same. He just jumped in front of my car and took $20. You paid him $20. Took $20 off me. But I just think this is a sort of a defense mechanism, and he tries to deal with guilt in a different way at this point. And I think you will have I don't know if I remember vaguely this because I've read this book a number of years ago, I don't know, 7 or so, and now I'm reading again. And the trouble I have now is that I try and read a lot. That's my main occupation in a way. But then going through so many stories and plots, I tend to forget much of what I've read 7 years ago.